Community Talk on Q104.7, the 805's hip hop and R&B station. We're going to talk about identity theft. Came across an interesting stat. Oxnard alone increased in identity theft from 11.21% in 2008 from '07. Yeah, kind of shocking, kind of scary. Here on the line inside Community Talk, we've got Tammy Neely, Director of Public Affairs at LifeLock.
How are you?
Good. How are you? And thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem.
Let's talk about this. Identity theft. 11.21% increase in Oxnard alone.
Yeah, and while that increase that you've seen right there in your local community, you need to know, too, that you live in the number 2 state for identity theft. I live in Arizona. I take bragging rights for the number 1 state for identity theft.
Wow. Okay.
But every state in the country saw an increase in identity theft reports last year. Now, the Federal Trade Commission is the one that tracks this crime and the trends and what's new and what's changing, so that we can educate law enforcement and we can tell consumers where they're vulnerable. But, as a state, California alone saw a 16.5% increase. So, I think a lot of it has to do with population. You've got some great sunshine that's attracting a lot of people to live out there. And identity thieves are going to where they know the people are. Where can we get large groups of people, and how can we target them and take advantage of them?
Tammy, so what is identity theft?
So identity theft in its purest form is when someone takes your personal information without your knowledge. So that's your name, your date of birth, maybe your driver's license number. But where they can get the furthest is with your Social Security number. So if someone uses your name and Social Security number, they can go out, they can open new lines of credit, they can commit crimes and say that they're you when they're arrested.
So even if they don't have an ID that proves that that's you, as long as they have that Social Security number, they can go and shop under your name?
They can. With the convenience of shopping online, you can go apply for credit cards online. And as long as you have a name that matches a Social Security number, you can have a different date of birth. You can have a different address. And, creditors are looking to issue credit. They're going to say, Nancy has phenomenal credit. I'm going to go ahead and issue her, a $5,000, $10,000 line of credit. Oh, I see she doesn't live in California anymore. I see she's moved to Boston. I'm going to go ahead and issue the credit card to Boston and have it sent there. So they're just looking to see that yes, you're credit worthy. They're going to give you whatever you're applying for. And if it's you, that's very convenient. But if it's an identity thief posing as you, we've just made it that much more convenient for the identity thief as well.
And where are some of these places that the impersonators can get some of the information?
Well, what's happening is, throughout our lifetime, we've given our personal information to so many places.
Right.
We have to give it to our banks, our employers, healthcare providers. My Social Security number was my student number when I was in college. It was my husband's driver's license number was his Social Security number for such a long time here in Arizona. So it's out there. We know that we've given it out. Identity thieves know that we've given it out. Now, look, these are some very smart and savvy people. This isn't a 9-to-5 job. This is them sitting down and thinking, where is it? How do I get it? Do I have enough computer hacking skills that I could hack into someone's system? Maybe an employee's human resources database and capture that information? Or do I know somebody on the inside that I could pay $50 or $100 to every time they got me someone's identity? So that's where thieves are getting it. And then maybe those people that are getting it are turning around and selling it to someone else. Maybe they're not necessarily going out and abusing your credit, but they're passing that along and selling that for their own personal gain to someone else who may go out and cause this damage to you that is going to take you hundreds of hours to clear up.
Oh, man. And the ways of stopping it, though, how do you prevent this? You've given your Social Security number out to so many people, like you said. How do you prevent identity theft from happening?
Well, let's understand one thing first, that no matter what we do, we can't prevent identity theft. I wish there was a way, but there's a lot of steps that we can take to protect ourselves.
Okay.
So like we said, it's out there. So let's just assume the thieves already have it. So let's take these protective measures. You can place, every consumer can place what's called a fraud alert with the 3 major credit bureaus. And that's essentially a red flag on your credit report that says, hey, anytime me or anyone posing as me tries to open a new line of credit or make any changes to my existing lines of credit or change my address or do anything, you need to call me first. So that shows up on your credit report. You need to know, though, as a consumer, that it expires every 90 days. Now, you can renew it every 90 days. You just have to remember to do that. And it's for free. So you just contact any one of the 3 credit bureaus, be it Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion. You only have to contact one. You can call them on their 800 number, or you can look them up online and place your fraud alert online. But you don't have to contact all 3. Simply by contacting one bureau, they are required by law to place that alert with the other 2 bureaus on your behalf. So right now, that's the best front line of defense that exists. Now, everyone needs to continue shredding their documents. Everyone needs to request your credit reports. It sounds simple, but the law allows us to get our credit report for free once every 12 months. So if we went to annualcreditreport.com, that's the website where you get it free, no strings attached, annualcreditreport.com, and you requested your credit report today from all three bureaus, you can't get it until 12 months from today, again. But if you went today and you requested it from Experian, 4 months later from Equifax, 4 months after that from TransUnion, you're able to monitor your credit a little bit more closely, a little bit more frequently than every 12 months. And I hear from a lot of people that say, I don't need to check my credit report. I don't open any new credit cards, and I'm not buying a new home or automobile. Well, that's great for you that you're not doing that, but you need to take a look at that credit report to make sure that no one else is taking advantage of you while you're not paying attention.
You mentioned checking your credit report a few times a year. Doesn't that affect your credit score in some sort of way?
It doesn't. When you pull that to check it, the law, the Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act law says that every consumer is entitled to it once every 12 months. It does not affect your credit score in any way, shape, or form because they're entitling you to it. So it doesn't adversely affect your credit score.
Yeah. People don't check their credit scores. I have family members who refuse to do it once a year, just like you recommended. And it's not about, like you said, I haven't taken out a new line of credit, no credit cards for me. I don't believe in credit, but it's more of, what if someone got a hold of your social security number? That happened to my aunt, and that person went out and purchased a car under her name.
Again, these thieves can take you for $50, $500, $5,000, $500,000. I mean, once they have your personal information, the damage they can do is really endless. And, a little bit of a personal story here is that I have a 4-year-old son, and, I've tried to place fraud alerts for him, and every time it's come back saying that he doesn't have a credit report. That's the right answer, because at 4 years old, I have not opened any lines of credit for him. Well, just this past weekend, I got letters in the mail saying that all three bureaus were successful in placing a fraud alert. That has now alerted me to the fact that there's possibly someone out there that's abusing my son's personal information. And fortunately, I subscribe to the identity theft company LifeLock, who's put these protective measures in place for me, including fraud alerts, and has kind of a system in place where if anything happens and myself, my son, anyone in my family becomes a victim of identity theft, LifeLock is there to clean it up, to do all the remediation. So I don't have to worry about who are the experts, who do I need to call, what steps do I have to take. I know that LifeLock is there to do that for me, but still, as a parent, I'm very nervous. I'm thinking,
right,
I have a 4-year-old. Who have I given his personal information to? I can list on one hand the number of places that I know that I've given it in his 4 years of life, and so now I'm just troubled thinking, who's lost that information? Where has that information been compromised in the last 4 years? And how do I close that point of vulnerability? How do I get to that organization or that individual that has it and make certain that it doesn't happen again?
If your son's only 4 years old, someone gets a hold of their social security number. I mean, wouldn't it be the banker's job to do some research with that social security number? And wouldn't that show that your son's only 4 years old?
Well, you would think, but
Right.
anytime you go to apply for your first line of credit, let's say you were just going to college and you applied for your first credit card, so you're 17 or 18 years old. The credit bureau looks at that information that you put down for the first time and assumes it to be accurate. So if there's someone out there that's applied for a line of credit with my son's name and social security number, they can make up a birth date. The credit bureaus, I'm sure, would look at that and say, if they put his actual birth date down, they would say, this is a 4-year-old, it's going to raise some red flags.
Yeah.
But if someone went out there and opened the first line of credit and said that they were 24 years old, they would look at it and say, oh, Jack Neely's never applied for credit before. Let's advance him $500. Let's give him a small line of credit. And then these thieves are smart. They're not looking to take people $500 at a time. They're going to try to establish credit so they can build it up to $5,000, $10,000 or higher, and that's when they're going to disappear. We work with a young man here at LifeLock who was a victim when he was 7 years old and didn't find out about it until he was 17, and he tried to apply for a student loan. And he was turned down because at 7 years old, someone used his personal information to buy a $40,000 houseboat.
Oh, man.
So children are targeted because it goes unnoticed for so long. So as parents, we try to keep them safe, buckle up in the car, look both ways when you cross the street. Safety is at the top of our list for our children, but we also have to be considerate and be aware to their credit security, too. How can we work to keep that safe?
Tammy Neely, Director of Public Affairs at LifeLock. I'm going to put you on hold real quick. Come back and answer some emails that our listeners have sent in. If you have any questions, 654-1526 or email us communitytalk@q1047.com.